Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support I received from you. And as always, all the information in my videos is rumors taken from the internet or the street. I'm not saying the information is fact.
Pick your mans up.
And just because people used to come through shooting at us every day. And this block, words can't even explain, man. Can't even explain.
Yeah, man.
Little School Valley, 05 way on money.
Young Money, man. They in the building.
600 boy, LA, man. LA Capone, man. Get it to him, man. OC2 boys, man. Team number 9, man. Number 9 shooter, you hear me?
Hey, Big Ysl, bitch! Yeah! What is wrong with you? Hey, I am Brick Squad! Brick Squad, boy, fuck is you talking about, boy?
You have to be willing to die or go to jail for 100 years if that's the lane that you're stepping in. You have to understand that whether you 15, 16, you got to think like a man, you know what I'm saying?
So don't be in it. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old are you?
300.
This is the big breakdown of YSL. In the spring of 2022, the world of hip-hop was shaken when Atlanta police raided the home of Jeffrey Williams, better known as Young Thug. What followed was not just another celebrity arrest, but the beginning of one of Georgia's most sprawling and closely watched criminal trials. Prosecutors alleged that YSL, the record label Thug built into a cultural powerhouse, was more than a business or artistic collective. To them, it was a violent street gang operating under the name Young Slime Life. The indictment swept up nearly 30 people, including fellow rapper Gunna, and painted a picture that blurred the line between music and organized crime. For more than 2 years, the case went through courts, delays, and controversies, raising questions about the use of rap lyrics as evidence and testing the strength of long-standing friendships. At the heart of it all stood Young Thug, a pioneer whose music had already reshaped a generation. His fight for freedom, the fallout with collaborators, and the spectacle of the courtroom turned the YSL case into a saga that was as much about culture and identity as it was about crime and punishment. To fully understand this story, with Young Thug at its center, it is necessary to first look back at his personal history, the rise of YSL, the long-standing conflict with YFN, and the role Thug played in shaping and escalating those events. Young Thug, born Jeffrey Williams, grew up in the Jonesboro South housing projects of Atlanta, a neighborhood notorious for poverty and crime before its demolition in 2008. In interviews, Thug has described the conditions there as nothing but roaches and rats, reflecting the deep neglect of the area. He often referred to the projects as Little Haiti or simply Haiti, likening their crumbling state to the hardships faced in the Caribbean nation. The name carried enough weight in his life that he not only titled a track Haiti Slang but also named one of his daughters Haiti. More central to his music and identity, however, is Cleveland Avenue, the street that runs near his old neighborhood. Over the years, Cleveland Avenue has become one of Atlanta's most storied landmarks in trap music, in large part due to Thug's influence and his frequent references to it in his work. But the street's reputation extends beyond culture and music. For decades, Cleveland Avenue has been associated with the Bloods gang, so much so that locals often refer to it as Bleveland Avenue, a play on the Bloods' practice of replacing the letter C with B to distance themselves from their rivals, the Crips. Young Thug has long been linked, directly or indirectly, to this gang presence, a connection that prosecutors would later seize upon when building their case against him. The Cleveland Avenue Bloods crew connected to the block where Young Thug grew up is known as Raised on Cleveland, commonly abbreviated as ROC or referred to as the ROC crew. In some instances, the name is stylized as RO5, a substitution reflecting the Bloods' practice of avoiding the letter C. Over time, alternative acronyms for ROC have also circulated within the crew. In fact, early videos of the ROC crew hanging out on their block around 2009 still circulate on YouTube. These clips capture a young Jeffrey Williams, then known by his nickname Lil Jeff, running through the streets of Atlanta with his friends, long before he adopted the name Young Thug and rose to stardom. Young Thug and his affiliates have long given shout-outs to the Raised on Cleveland crew in their music. While Steiner released a project titled Raised on Cleveland, Lil Keed had a mixtape series called Trapped on Cleveland, and in numerous early interviews, Young Thug spoke openly about his involvement with the ROC crew, describing it as more like a family, or even a religion. Over time, many of the rappers from Cleveland Avenue began referring to themselves as YSL. According to Atlanta police, YSL stands for Young Slime Life, a recognized Blood set. Young Thug, however, has always described YSL as his record label, Young Stoner Life, a fully legal enterprise through which he claims to hire and support hundreds of members of his extended family. In a now deleted complex article titled Inside the Snake Pit, The Rise of Young Thug's YSL Label, Thug explained that YSL operates as a genuine family, aiming to provide opportunities for those around him. Following the success of his 2014 single Stoner, Thug caught the attention of major label 300 Entertainment. When discussing the creation of YSL, one of his primary questions was simple: how many people have you made millionaires? His goal was to use the label to elevate his friends and family financially. Early signees included Day One friends Gunna and Lil Duke, with Lil Keed, Lil Got It, Yak Gotti, and others joining later. The label has a massive Los Angeles compound, known as the Snake Pit, with multiple studios where artists can record at any time. YSL's impact, however, extends beyond business. The label pioneered the mainstream use of certain gang terminology, most notably the term slime. In Thug's music, slime can mean a friend, a member of the Bloods, a deceitful person, or even an action like hurting or killing someone. The term has roots in Bloods lingo from New York, popularized by artists like Vado and Noriega, but Thug was among the first to bring it prominently into modern trap music. Coming straight from Cleveland Avenue, the term was already part of his lexicon from an early age, but he transformed it into a defining part of his persona and the identity of YSL. The YSL gang, led by Young Thug, has always presented itself as more than just a record label. It's often described as a family, a network of people from Cleveland Avenue looking out for one another. But even with that sense of loyalty and support, leaving the streets behind isn't simple. As members grow older and begin trying to build legitimate careers in the music industry, old rivalries and dangerous connections can resurface, sometimes in unexpected ways. One of the most notable conflicts involves a long-running feud between Young Thug's crew and a group from a nearby neighborhood called Summerhill. While Thug isn't typically thought of as a drill rapper, he has referenced Summerhill directly in his early music. On one of his first tracks, Haiti Slang, he raps about visiting the area, signaling a direct nod to the ongoing tension. Everybody can't get it. I ain't from Summerhill, but I'm visiting now. Summerhill itself produced its own crew, known as YFN, led by YFN Lucci. Lucci grew up in the neighborhood and has often spoken about his experiences there, describing the environment as one that shaped his perspective and ambition. Summerhill is another Atlanta neighborhood long associated with gang activity. Over the years, numerous blood sets have operated in the area, contributing to a climate of tension and violence. According to Atlanta police, one of the most prominent crews to form in Summerhill and nearby Peoplestown is the ABG, also known as the Atlanta Blood Gang. In some contexts, ABG is said to stand for Anybody Get It, reflecting the group's willingness to act violently against rival gangs without hesitation, a mentality similar to Chicago's EBK sets, which stands for Everybody Killer. Atlanta police report that the ABG are connected with other blood sets in the city, including the Bird Gang, which reportedly formed in the early 2000s in Atlanta's 4th Ward. Local authorities also note that many of Atlanta's blood crews maintain historical ties to the Inglewood family bloods from Los Angeles. As this story will show, these affiliations are not limited to the Southeast. Atlanta blood sets are also believed to have connections reaching as far as Miami, forming an interstate network of alliances. Both Young Thug and YFN Lucci came from tough, gang-heavy neighborhoods in Atlanta, and while both turned to music as a way out, their pasts never completely let go. By the time they were reaching their peaks, old street ties and feuds still followed them. Thug first began making noise around 2010, showing flashes of a style heavily influenced by Lil Wayne. At first, music wasn't his main focus, but after a major police bust shook up his Cleveland Avenue circle in 2011, he leaned into rap more seriously. Between 2011 and 2012, he dropped his I Came From Nothing mixtape series, rapping openly about his upbringing and crew. His break came when Atlanta legend Gucci Mane signed him to 1017 Brick Squad, reportedly for $25,000 in cash without even hearing a song. The gamble worked. Thug started buzzing quickly, collaborating with Gucci on multiple records and releasing tapes that built his reputation. By 2013, his style was shifting into something unique, and with his breakout single Stoner, he began shouting out YSL in nearly every song. This marked the transition from his early rock days on Cleveland Avenue to the YSL movement, which he presented as both a family and a label. Stoner and Danny Glover would push him onto the national stage, but his connections to Atlanta's blood scene were still evident, with collaborations like his Black Portland mixtape alongside Bloody J. Soon after, Thug linked with Birdman and Rich Gang, delivering the hit Lifestyle and cementing himself as one of Atlanta's most important rising stars. Still, the blend of music and street ties that fueled his rise would also set the stage for the conflicts to come. By the mid-2010s, Young Thug's career had begun to skyrocket. His connection with Birdman and the Rich Gang Collective gave him mainstream exposure, with hits like Lifestyle pushing him into the spotlight. Thug was not only building his music profile but also surrounding himself with figures from both the industry and the streets. In one behind-the-scenes vlog, he even introduced a man he described as one of the biggest bloods in America, Donovan Big Nut Thomas. Big Nut wasn't just respected in the streets, he was also a major supporter of YF and Lucci. While Luci's older brother encouraged him to start rapping, it was Nut who truly believed in his potential. He introduced Lucci to Fly, the CEO of Think It's a Game Records, the same label that had pushed Rich Homie Quan and Trinidad James. That introduction paid off. Lucci dropped his debut tape Wish Me Well in 2014, with features and backing that helped him quickly gain traction. But in January 2015, everything changed. Big Nut was gunned down in a drive-by shooting outside an Atlanta barbershop, an attack that also injured 2 others. The loss was devastating for Lucci, who often credited Nut as the person who opened doors for him in the industry. Nut's death also sent shockwaves through Atlanta's rap and street scenes, fueling speculation about who was responsible. No official arrests were made, but the murder marked a turning point. From that moment, tensions between YSL and YFN escalated, and the rivalry began to spiral into a violent war that would haunt both crews for years. In the aftermath of Big Nut's death, rumors quickly spread that YSL may have been involved. While no concrete evidence ever tied them to the crime, the Atlanta police would later cite intelligence suggesting that many in the streets believed YSL bore responsibility. According to investigators, this belief directly fueled the hostility between YSL and YFN, escalating tensions into a violent feud that would consume both sides. The ripple effects were felt across Atlanta's rap scene. Rich Homie Quan, who had been closely tied to both Lucci's camp and Young Thug's Rich Gang era, began to distance himself. His relationship with Thug soured, and Quan eventually faded from the spotlight. Likewise, the partnership between Bloody J and Young Thug fractured. While Bloody J continued working with YF and Lucci, his collaborations with Thug came to an end. From that point, Atlanta's hip-hop scene seemed divided, with YFN and YSL positioned on opposing sides. Police would later report that as many as 37 violent incidents, including 4 murders, were linked to this original spark. Despite the rising body count, both Young Thug and YF and Lucci were gaining momentum in music, amassing fans and wealth while their feud became harder to contain. What began in the streets soon spilled into the industry, where the beef grew increasingly public. By 2016, Lucci's career was climbing, and with his higher profile came greater exposure of the dangers surrounding him. In an interview with Karen Civil, he revealed that his family home had been targeted in multiple shootings. During one attack, while Lucci was out of town, gunmen sprayed the house with bullets. On another occasion, his own mother was struck, along with a friend. Though he spoke candidly about the incidents, Lucci refused to identify who was responsible, citing street code. The feud had crossed a dangerous line. Mothers were being injured, and families were being dragged into the crossfire. Soon, even children became pawns in the escalating conflict. In February 2016, Lucci posted a video of Young Thug's young daughter on Instagram, wishing her a happy birthday. On the surface, it seemed innocent, but within the context of the war, it carried an ominous undertone, a pointed and public message aimed directly at Thug. This move, seen by many as crossing a line, marked how far the rivalry had spiraled. The streets of Atlanta were already running hot, but now, with families involved and social media amplifying the tension, the YSL feud had reached a new and deeply personal level. In February 2016, the tension between YF and Lucci and Young Thug escalated when Lucci took direct shots at Thug's fiancée, Jerica, on Twitter, claiming she missed being on the couch with him and posting alleged DMs that weren't verifiable. He doubled down with a series of provocative tweets, finishing with 3 L's, a clear jab at Thug. Thug dismissed it online, saying rappers should collab instead of chasing clout. A month later, Lucci told DJ Smalls he didn't even know Thug, signaling the disrespect wasn't ending. Meanwhile, Lucci's career was gaining momentum. His Wish Me Well 2 mixtape landed at number 183 on the Billboard 200, his first chart entry. On The Breakfast Club, he celebrated and reaffirmed his ties to the streets, insisting everyone in his circle had been with him since day one. By contrast, Young Thug was already in overdrive. By 2014 he'd signed to 300 Entertainment, and in 2015, after leaks, he flooded the streets with music. Barter 6 sparked a feud with Lil Wayne, including the tour bus shooting linked to Thug's circle. His Slime Season mixtapes and the hit Best Friend, number 45 Billboard, cemented his rise. By 2016, Thug was a mainstream star, appearing in Calvin Klein campaigns, collaborating with Travis Scott and Usher, and releasing the iconic Jeffrey mixtape with the dress cover art, which pushed hip-hop's boundaries. Jeffrey peaked at number 8 on Billboard, establishing Thug as a cultural and musical innovator, setting the stage for YSL to become a full-fledged label. The exact meaning of YSL has always been debated, but by 2017, Young Thug had turned it into a real label, putting on his family and friends while stacking hit records. That same year, YF and Lucci honored his late friend Big Nut with his long-lived Nut EP, which peaked at number 27 on Billboard and produced his biggest hit, Every Day We Lit with PNB Rock. But Lucci's past still haunted him. In 2017, he was arrested twice, once after fleeing police during a traffic stop, and later in Tennessee while traveling with Lil Wayne's daughter, Reginae Carter. Meanwhile, Thug was experimenting musically, releasing Beautiful Thugger Girls on Tupac's birthday and declaring himself the new Pac. Lucci fired back on Twitter, mocking Thug for wearing a dress on the Jeffrey cover. Thug dismissed him as a peon but also issued darker warnings, telling Lucci to humble himself before ending up put to sleep. While their feud simmered, both artists had career highs. Thug scored a global #1 with Camila Cabello's Havana, while Lucci cemented himself as a rising name in rap. Still, violence lingered in the background. That year, YSL rapper Lil Duke was shot outside Magic City nightclub after being chased by 4 men, an incident kept quiet until surveillance footage surfaced later. No matter how big Young Thug or YF and Lucci got in music, the streets kept pulling them back in. By summer 2018, Thug dropped the Slime Language compilation, showing how serious he was about YSL as a label. Lucci also had his best year musically, with his album Ray Ray from Summerhill hitting number 14 on Billboard. But trouble followed him. In July, he was arrested once again, this time caught on video. For a moment, it looked like peace might be possible when both appeared separately on DI's Dime Trap. But by 2019, things turned ugly again. Thug began sending subliminal tweets before outright threatening to slap Lucci and mocking his teeth. Lucci fired back with insults, homophobic slurs, and even disrespect toward Thug's fiancée. The two traded shots online for weeks. Soon after, things moved from social media to the streets. In May 2019, Lucci's G-Wagon was riddled with bullets in Atlanta, injuring someone inside, though Lucci wasn't driving. Then in June, someone vandalized the gravesite of Lucci's slain mentor Big Nut, spray painting slot over the headstone, one of the most disrespectful moments in the feud. That summer, Thug released his long-awaited album So Much Fun. On its opening track, he rapped about chain snatchings and someone almost getting shot at Atlanta's Lenox Mall. Not long after, he posted photos of Lucci's car at Lenox with captions mocking him, fueling speculation the bar was aimed directly at YFN. After So Much Fun dropped, YF and Lucci quickly fired back on Instagram, calling Thug's lyrics cap and labeling the whole project a lie. He even claimed that Thug had once panicked at Lenox Mall, trying to flip the narrative. Thug responded with a chilling post, saying, "If I ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you," which was shocking for someone who usually avoids putting street talk online. Not long after, Lucci kept the disrespect going in an interview with Atlanta's V103, again dragging Thug's fiancée and claiming he'd been in bed with her a couple of times. Jerica denied it outright, but Lucci's real goal was clearly just to push Thug's buttons. And it worked. The next day, Thug sat down with Big Boy and gave one of his rawest interviews yet, saying that when he kills someone, he prays for forgiveness, speaking like a man too comfortable with violence. Asked about Lucci directly, he played it off as not serious, even wishing Lucci more success, but then admitted he had seen him at the BET Awards and implied he could have handled it there if he wanted to. Thug then doubled down, saying the only reason he hasn't done something to Lucci is because he respects how Lucci treats his family. He even claimed to have videos of Lucci with his kids saved in his phone, a disturbing detail that crossed the line into veiled threats. By this point, the back and forth had gone far beyond rap. Still, when Lucci sat down with Vlad TV, he downplayed everything, claiming he didn't go back and forth with people and suggesting Thug just didn't like him. But the danger around him was real. In June 2020, gunfire broke out during the filming of one of Lucci's music videos. Reports said 21 shots were fired, a 15-year-old boy was grazed, and Lucci later admitted his own Rolls-Royce was shot up in the chaos. In 2019, YSL's Yak Gotti posted a photo of himself standing on YF and Lucci's Maybach outside Lenox Mall, flipping him off. He even used the photo as the cover for his single In a Coupe. Lucci was heated, pointing out that Gotti had just greeted him inside the mall before disrespecting him outside. A month later, Lucci accidentally fired a real gun on a music video set, thinking it was fake. Young Thug jumped on Twitter to mock him, joking about his weak stick. That marked the last big public clash between the crews on social media, but behind the scenes, things were still dangerous. On December 10, 2020, Lucci was driving in Atlanta with 3 men, including James Adams and Rayvon Boyd. Adams and Boyd began shooting from the car, and chaos erupted. Adams was shot in the head and thrown from the vehicle. A passerby called 911, describing the shocking scene of a man hanging from the car, barely alive. Over a month later, police identified Lucci as the driver, and he, along with the others, faced serious criminal charges. Somewhere between the deadly shooting and his arrest, YF and Lucci appeared on a DJ Vlad interview. It's unclear exactly when it was recorded, but the interview had some wild moments. Lucci explained that life had become so dangerous in Atlanta that he had to drive around in a bulletproof car, a GMC he said he paid $145,000 for. He also addressed the feud with Young Thug, saying there was nothing to work out because he never sees Thug in Atlanta anymore. On January 15, 2021, Lucci turned himself into police. Young Thug reacted by tweeting "Free all," clearly hoping his friend would avoid jail time. After a few days, Lucci posted $500,000 for bond and was seen celebrating his release on social media. At first, it seemed possible Lucci could beat the charges tied to the shooting, where he was driving and someone in his car had been killed. But things took a darker turn. The Atlanta police had a bigger plan. They bundled Lucci together with several of his associates in a massive racketeering case. By May 2021, a Fulton County grand jury handed down a 75-page, 106-count indictment, naming Lucci and about a dozen others in a large racketeering conspiracy targeting Atlanta blood gangs with interstate ties. This time, Lucci's music became part of the evidence. Prosecutors pointed to his videos, lyrics, and songs, including "Shine On," to argue that he was tied to criminal activity. According to Fulton County DA Fannie Willis, the case was using the performer's own work to highlight alleged gang associations, a situation where his career in music couldn't protect him from the law. YF and Lucci and Bloody J were part of a dozen people charged in a major Atlanta racketeering case. The indictment included serious crimes like murder, armed robbery, gun possession, and other gang-related activity. Investigators even used social media posts and music videos, like "Shine On," as evidence of their ties to the gang. According to authorities, YFN is an Atlanta blood set connected to LA's Inglewood family Bloods and Miami's Bloodhounds. While Young Thug and YSL weren't named in the case, YSL is reportedly aligned with the Rolling 60s Crips, which explains earlier collaborations between Blood-affiliated artists and YSL members. The case highlighted the ongoing rivalry between YFN and YSL. YFN members referred to themselves as Slat Killers, while YSL members called themselves Slats. Prosecutors claimed that Lucci's music and social media posts actively promoted gang activity, and his recording studio was described as a gang stronghold. The indictment also revealed the interstate reach of YFN, including trips to dangerous Miami neighborhoods like the Pork and Beans projects for music videos, showing how the crew's influence extended beyond Atlanta. Overall, the case tied Lucci's music career directly to his gang connections, making it one of the most high-profile hip-hop-related racketeering cases in recent years. The indictment against YFN Lucci claimed that his social media posts, including being tagged in Miami's pork and beans projects, were enough to show he played a leadership role in an interstate criminal network. Authorities said his music collaborations helped cement a real-world alliance between Atlanta and Miami blood sets. This is how CP3, a rapper from Miami, became involved in the December 2020 shooting where Lucci was driving, resulting in the death of James Adams. Alongside CP3 and Leroy Pitts, Lucci was implicated for murder and multiple other assaults during the incident. The case worsened for Lucci with allegations of evidence tampering, hiding the vehicle, and social media posts where he seemingly glorified violence. Other accusations included strangling and assaulting a man in August 2020 over rival music and paying him off, along with multiple incidents of armed robbery, shootings, and aggravated assaults involving his associates. Social media messages from YFN affiliates were also cited as proof of gang activity, linking them to past conflicts with YSL members. Lucci's lawyer denied the charges, arguing that his social media posts and music fall under First Amendment protections, comparing it to classic songs like I Shot the Sheriff. While he remained locked up, Lucci also faced a major civil loss, being ordered to repay $1.7 million over a dispute regarding one of his biggest hits. After years of legal battles, YFN Lucci was finally released in 2025, bringing an end to a tumultuous chapter in his career and life, though the shadow of his past in the streets and music industry continues to follow him. Now, it was Young Thug's turn. Only a year after YFN Lucci's arrest, authorities shifted their focus to Thug. He was arrested on May 9, 2022, as part of a sweeping RICO indictment targeting the YSL collective. The charges included allegations of organized criminal activity, conspiracy to commit violent crimes, and connections to multiple shootings and murders across Atlanta. Prosecutors cited his lyrics, social media posts, and public appearances as evidence of his involvement in orchestrating and promoting gang activity. The arrest was a major shock to the hip-hop world, as Young Thug had long been seen as one of the genre's most innovative and commercially successful artists. While his team maintained that his music was a form of artistic expression protected under the First Amendment, the scale of the indictment painted a complex picture of the blurred lines between rap, street politics, and organized crime. Thug was immediately taken into custody, and his case became one of the most high-profile examples of federal authorities targeting rappers under RICO statutes. The charges threatened not only his personal freedom but also the future of YSL as a label and movement, leaving fans in the industry watching closely as the legal battle unfolded. In 2022, the legal net finally closed in on Young Thug and his YSL collective. On May 9, 2022, he, along with 27 others, was indicted under Georgia's RICO statute. The charges were extensive, including conspiracy, organized gang activity, firearms violations, drug offenses, and a string of violent crimes. The indictment painted a picture of YSL as a structured criminal enterprise, with prosecutors citing social media posts, lyrics, and other evidence to connect members to alleged illegal activity. Just 2 days later, on May 11th, rapper Gunna, another YSL affiliate, voluntarily surrendered to authorities. Young Thug also faced additional felony charges after a police raid, compounding the gravity of the case. By June 2022, both Thug and Gunna had their bond requests denied. The court cited concerns over flight risk and potential intimidation of witnesses, signaling the seriousness with which the authorities were approaching the case. Then, on August 5, 2022, the stakes rose even higher when Young Thug was re-indicted with expanded charges. The new indictment broadened the scope of alleged criminal activity, reinforcing the government's portrayal of YSL as an organized and dangerous enterprise. This sequence of events marked one of the most significant legal actions against a major hip-hop artist in recent history, placing Young Thug at the center of a high-profile battle between the music industry, street affiliations, and federal law enforcement. In December 2022, Gunna took an offered plea in the YSL RICO case. That means he technically pleaded guilty while still maintaining he didn't do anything wrong. He ended up getting time served and was released on probation with community service. Of course, the internet went wild after this. Almost immediately, people started speculating that Gunna had cooperated with authorities, with rumors about him snitching on other YSL members, including Young Thug. There wasn't any proof of that. But in today's social media world, speculation spreads fast, and it added another layer of tension to the ongoing case. Even though Gunna's legal situation was technically resolved, it put a spotlight on the rest of the crew. Fans were debating what it meant for Young Thug and the rest of YSL, and it reminded everyone just how much these cases blur the line between street politics, music careers, and the law. It also showed how public perception and social media chatter can make things feel even more intense, especially when a case involves high-profile rappers with real-life gang ties.
Please state after each statement whether or not you agree or acknowledge that the statements are truthful, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
In January 2023, things really started ramping up for Young Thug's RICO case. Jury selection began, and it quickly became clear this was going to be a long, complicated process. Both the prosecution and defense were extremely careful, going through hundreds of potential jurors to find people who could handle the complexities of a case that involved not just alleged gang activity, but also Young Thug's music, social media, and his influence in the streets of Atlanta. The selection process dragged on for months, with attorneys questioning jurors about their understanding of hip-hop culture, gang affiliations, and social media evidence, all to make sure the jury could fairly assess the charges. Finally, on November 27, 2023, the trial officially kicked off in Fulton County Superior Court. By this point, it had become one of the most closely watched cases in hip-hop history. The courtroom was packed with media, fans, and legal observers, all waiting to see how prosecutors would use Thug's music, videos, and online activity to try to prove his connection to alleged gang operations. Social media posts, lyrics, and even references in interviews were presented as evidence, showing how intertwined Thug's art and the allegations had become in the eyes of the law. The trial was heavy with tension. On one side, prosecutors painted a picture of Young Thug as a central figure in organized criminal activity. On the other hand, his legal team argued that his music and public persona were simply artistic expression, protected under the First Amendment, and not proof of criminal intent. The Young Thug RICO trial quickly became a roller coaster of legal and procedural drama, extending well into 2024. One of the earliest complications came when judges had to recuse themselves amid allegations of improper communication. This added delays and uncertainty, as the court scrambled to ensure that the trial remained fair and impartial. The drama didn't stop there. Defense attorney Brian Steele, one of Young Thug's lead lawyers, was held in contempt of court for refusing to reveal confidential information. Steele argued that doing so would violate attorney-client privilege, but the court pressed hard, escalating tensions in an already high-profile case. In December 2023, another shocking development rattled the trial. Co-defendant Shannon Stillwell was stabbed in jail. The incident forced the court to pause proceedings temporarily, delaying the trial into early 2024 while Stillwell recovered. The attack highlighted the extreme tensions surrounding the case, both inside and outside the courtroom. When the trial resumed, the core issue remained highly contested: was YSL actually a criminal gang, or just a music label? Testimonies from law enforcement, prosecutors, and street experts painted a picture of YSL as a structured criminal organization with ties to multiple interstate gangs, citing lyrics, videos, and social media activity as evidence. Meanwhile, Young Thug's defense yet again argued that YSL was primarily a creative collective and record label, emphasizing that his music, social media posts, and videos were artistic expression protected under the First Amendment. As the YSL RICO trial unfolded, Kenneth "Lil Woody" Copeland emerged as one of the most talked about figures in the case. Woody was a former YSL associate from Atlanta who had a complicated relationship with Young Thug, once describing it as similar to a divorce, suggesting their connection had soured over time. He was implicated in several violent incidents tied to YSL's alleged street operations, including a 2014 shooting at a barbershop owned by Rich Homie Quan's father and the 2015 murder of Donovan "Nut" Thomas Jr., a pivotal figure in Atlanta's music and street scene. While he never admitted to Nut's killing, his testimony placed him at the center of the alleged gang conflicts, tying YSL members to violent activity and disputes with other Atlanta rappers. He was portrayed as a key enforcer within the organization, deeply involved in disputes, and knowledgeable about the gang's internal workings. Once Woody agreed to testify, he quickly became a lightning rod for controversy. Publicly labeled a snitch, his testimony was instrumental in linking Young Thug and YSL to the RICO charges, including gang-related crimes and conspiracies. His courtroom demeanor, often calm, sometimes smirking, added fuel to the narrative of betrayal, particularly in a culture where loyalty is highly valued. Even after the trial, Woody's life remained turbulent. In June 2025, he was involved in a widely circulated dirt bike accident that left him bloodied and unconscious, sparking rumors of his death. His manager later confirmed he survived and was recovering.
Kill Donovan Thomas, Mr. Copeland? Did you kill Donovan Thomas, Mr. Copeland? Huh? Did you kill Donovan Thomas? You shaking your head? Is that a no?
No.
Okay then. And is that what you went down there to tell Detective Thorpe back on January 11, 2015?
What?
Is that what you went down there to tell Detective Thorpe, that you did not kill Donovan Thomas?
I don't understand. I don't know if this is a trick question.
When you went down there, did you go down there to tell Detective Thorpe where you were the entire day and that you did not kill Donovan Thomas?
Melvin, can I answer that?
Yeah, you need to answer that.
I don't know how to answer that.
Do you need to talk to Mr. Melnick?
No, I don't know if it's a trick question that she asked me.
All right.
I'm not understanding.
Hang on. Let's break. We're gonna need to break in just a few minutes. Anyway, so let's break now. If you need to talk to Mr. Melnick in the interim, you can do that. And then we'll come back after lunch and you can answer that question depending upon what you and Mr. Melnick decide.
Thug, I love you. Nothing gonna stop me from loving you, but what you do from this moment forward. You knew not to come on this internet. You knew not to let a nigga like Pee Wee Roscoe get on the internet and do what he did. You let Pee Wee do that. And Pee Wee got you in all this stuff. Pee Wee got on the internet calling people rats. Pee Wee got on the internet saying all he said. Now guess what? He made people mad. People went to dig up the videos. Now people don't dig up the videos. You are what you are, buddy. You official on the Woody and Charleston White team. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm okay with being a snitch. Because I know what I did. I know what I've been through. But, nigga, you is a snitch too, nigga. And I ain't happy about it. I'm mad about it. Because I've been knowing this the whole fucking time. And I didn't even say nothing. I sat right here and still let the blame be on me. Because of the love I had for you. But when y'all niggas come out of jail and y'all brought that stupid stuff out of here, I left that stupid stuff in jail. Y'all brought that stupid stuff out here. Yeah, I'm mad about it. I knew it. I told all y'all, hey, bro, I did this for y'all because I care about y'all. I didn't have to do that for y'all. You feel me? I looked y'all in y'all eyes. Y'all need to get out here and disappointed everybody. Because y'all niggas just fought for y'all life and y'all had the world cheering for y'all. Y'all had the world cheering for y'all. Y'all had the world saying, free y'all. Everybody guilty, even me. Everybody guilty, even me. Everybody guilty. And y'all niggas come out of jail after God gave y'all another chance. I ain't do it. The lawyers ain't do it. Prosecutors ain't did it. The judge ain't did it. God did it. God bless y'all with a wonderful judge. They went by the books. There's nowhere in the world y'all supposed to be in front of that judge. No way. But God said, I'm going to give y'all another chance. And I might be failing. But one thing I know about God know my intentions. He know I ain't on here to cause problem.
Then we have Thug, the focus of this trial and the entire case. According to prosecutors, he wasn't just running a record label, he was running a full-fledged criminal enterprise. Witnesses testified that Thug directed violent acts, including shootings, assaults, and robberies, with YSL members carrying out orders under his authority. Some said he coordinated retaliation against rival gangs, dictated who could carry firearms, and enforced loyalty through fear and intimidation. Prosecutors painted him as the central figure in a hierarchy where his influence extended from music studios to the streets, making decisions that affected life or death situations for his associates. Court testimony tied Thug to several high-profile incidents, most notably the 2015 murder of Donovan "Big Nut" Thomas. While Thug didn't personally commit the murder, prosecutors allege he approved or had knowledge of the plan and allowed it to proceed, making him culpable under Georgia's RICO statutes. Social media posts, text messages, and music videos were presented as evidence, showing alleged coordination of criminal activity and boasting about violence. Witnesses also described him ordering specific attacks on rivals, sometimes referencing retaliation for past conflicts or protecting his crew's territory. In addition, Thug allegedly used threats in his status in the music industry to influence others, allegedly pressuring YSL members and affiliates into committing crimes. The indictment and trial portray him as the linchpin of a violent network, blending music, street influence, and gang activity, making him the central target of the prosecution's case. In addition to Young Thug, several other YSL members and affiliates were dragged into the RICO case, each facing their own set of serious allegations. Diamante Kendrick, better known as Yak Gotti, was accused of being involved in the 2015 murder of Big Nut, a killing that prosecutors said sparked the deadly feud between YFN and YSL. Although he was acquitted of the murder charges, he was convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm, a conviction that tied him even closer to the violent reputation prosecutors painted around YSL. Another defendant, Shannon Stillwell, was also tied to murder charges and conspiracy counts, but like Yak Gotti, he beat the most serious allegations and ended up only convicted on a firearm possession charge. Wonder Lee, who goes by Slime Life Shawty, was a familiar face in YSL music videos and on social media, where prosecutors claimed his posts and lyrics openly tied him to gang activity. Then there was Christian Eppinger, accused of using Instagram to communicate with a deputy during the trial, though his lawyers pushed back and said nothing improper took place. Meanwhile, Rodalius Ryan faced his own battles in court, with disputes over his legal representation causing delays and complications throughout the case. Each of these figures played a role in how the prosecution tried to build its picture of YSL as a violent gang rather than just a music label, using music videos, lyrics, and online posts as evidence of their involvement in a larger criminal network. And outside the courtroom, the YSL case was just as wild. Every other week, something was hitting gossip blogs, YouTube channels, and hip-hop media outlets, turning the trial into one of the most talked about sagas in rap history. DMZ, academics, Say Cheese, No Jumper, everybody had updates. Early on, one of the biggest viral moments was when jail phone calls and courtroom clips started leaking online, including YSL Woody's infamous 3-hour interrogation video where he was seen trying to cut a deal with investigators, claiming he could prevent murders if they let him walk. That clip spread everywhere, sparking endless debates about snitching and loyalty. Then you had videos surfacing of Gunna walking out of jail after his offered plea in December 2022, which gossip pages ran with, fueling rumors that he had flipped, even though his lawyers insisted otherwise. On the courtroom side, the drama made headlines when Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, was held in contempt for refusing to give up a confidential source, a moment caught on video and plastered all over social media. Even smaller moments got magnified, like prosecutors quoting Young Thug's lyrics in court or holding up his music videos as evidence, something blogs and fans couldn't stop debating. It seemed like every move, from a courtroom outburst to a leaked transcript, went viral, blurring the line between a serious RICO trial and reality TV-style spectacle.
These niggas know I don't want to get this information. Besides the people that trying to go do this.
When you were in here and that time when Fat was shooting at you and you said, it's Fat, don't put my name in no paperwork. Did I put your name in any paperwork?
But
did I?
Gabriel did.
No, they didn't. Not with the fat thing. They did not.
Who the hell is fat?
YFN fat. Remember back when you were in here and you walked up and you said fat shoot at me, but I don't put my name in paperwork. Did I put your name in any paperwork?
Because you don't have nothing to do. You don't have a case. Okay, so this what happened.
Okay.
The police kept locking me up for whatever they could. Every time I came out the door, the police was on me. And they keep bringing up Thug name. So what I did was, to get him off of me, I said, Thug did this, Thug did that, Thug did, because I knew they would never, I knew he didn't do it. And in my mind, I knew that the police would never go mess with him. So it was easy for me to try to throw the blame off on him to get them off of me. And that's what I was doing from all these years. I don't remember what I don't told them in the past. But my whole motive was, Thug did it because I knew he didn't do it, and they couldn't lock him up. And they keep talking about Thug, 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 Thug. So guess what I'm gonna tell them? Yeah. What else you want me to tell them? Yeah, he killed this person. Yeah, he did that. That's what I'm gonna do. And that's right now. If I walk out this thing and they say, the police stop me now. Hey man, give me something about Thug. Shit, I'm about to make something up about him again.
On January 11, 2015, when you went to speak to the police, when they called you, did they ask you about Thug or did they ask you about the murder of Donovan Thomas?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Did you go down to the police department on your own to tell them that you did not kill Donovan Thomas?
Did I go on my own?
Did you walk into the police department by yourself to tell them on the morning of January 11, 2015, that you did not kill Donovan Thomas?
I don't recall.
One of the smaller but very specific details that ended up making headlines was the situation with YSL chains being used as evidence. Prosecutors actually pointed to photos of members flashing the slot hand sign and wearing custom YSL jewelry as proof that the crew was a gang and not just a label. They even pulled up Instagram posts where YSL members wrote captions like SK Dead, meaning slot killer, directly referencing their beef with YFN. In another strange twist, court documents revealed that investigators had combed through Young Thug's lyrics bar for bar, citing songs like Anybody and Take It to Trial as gang anthems, even mentioning the green slime imagery as evidence of YSL branding itself as a criminal enterprise. There was also the viral courtroom moment where a witness tried to pass drugs to Young Thug during a hearing in early 2023, only to get caught immediately. An incident that exploded across blogs and added to the "you can't make this up" energy around the trial. Another detail that slipped under the radar was how often prosecutors referenced private jail calls, including one where Thug allegedly encouraged YSL members to stay solid and not flip, something the state used to argue he was pressuring witnesses. And then, in what might be the most surreal detail, there were reports that one juror had been caught filming parts of the proceedings on their cell phone, which forced the judge to dismiss them, dragging out jury selection even longer. All of these little pieces, from social media captions to jewelry to bizarre courtroom antics, ended up painting the picture of just how deep and messy this case had become. Then we get to the big twist nobody thought would actually happen. After everything, 2 years of hearings, delays, and all the crazy courtroom drama, on October 31st, 2024, Young Thug did something unexpected. He entered a blind plea, meaning he pleaded guilty without a pre-arranged deal, letting the judge decide his fate. That move wrapped up Georgia's longest criminal trial in history in a way nobody anticipated. The judge handed down a 40-year sentence, But it was structured so that Thug walked free that very day. 5 years credited as time served, 15 years of probation, and another 20 years held over his head, only triggered if he violates probation. In court, he apologized, promised to do right by his family and the community, and was released immediately. The terms are incredibly strict. For the first 10 years, he cannot enter the Atlanta metro area, with exceptions only for weddings, funerals, graduations, or a family member's serious illness. He's also required to return 4 times a year to make anti-gang presentations in schools or youth programs, which count toward his 100 hours of annual community service. On top of that, he must avoid contact with any gang members or co-defendants, with the exception of his brother and Gunna, who were spared, in part due to contractual obligations. There are also restrictions on gang music, social media posts, drug use, firearms, and electronics searches. After 2.5 years behind bars and a trial filled with courtroom twists, Thug was finally back home. The news spread fast. TMZ, No Jumper, hip-hop blogs, fans all lit up with reactions, disbelief at how wrangled this outcome was, cheering that his freedom came quicker than expected, and wondering what comes next. It's wild to think, the same man who stood at the center of Georgia's biggest RICO case exited court that day, free, under strict conditions, and with a spotlight now shining on how he'll rebuild his life and career. Why did he make such a risky choice? According to Keith Adams, one of Young Thug's lawyers, the rapper struggled with the decision because some of his supporters wanted him to fight the charges all the way. His family wanted him to continue on. But he's a grown man, and he had the chance to weigh all the options, Adams told NBC News, adding that it was not an easy decision. Another big factor was the uncertainty around what sentence Judge Whitaker might hand down. While the defense had asked for house arrest, the prosecution was pushing for 45 years, 25 in prison and 20 on probation. We had to consider whether we could really put our fate in the judge's hands, Adams said. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The case, which initially involved 26 co-defendants, was launched under District Attorney Fani Willis, who has faced scrutiny herself earlier this year over the stalled case against former President Donald Trump on state racketeering charges tied to the 2020 election. Adams and Young Thug's other lawyer, Brian Steele, had wanted him to see the trial through. Adams believed the plea deal was partly the prosecution's way of saving face after recent missteps, including the recusal of the trial's previous judge in July. Andrew Fleischman, a criminal defense lawyer in Georgia not involved in the case, said the risk of a mistrial likely put a ton of pressure on both sides to reach an agreement. For Young Thug, the chance to potentially get probation through a blind plea, instead of risking the outcome of a trial, was a big factor. During his sentencing Thursday, Steele explained that while he vehemently disagreed with some of the prosecution's claims about the rapper's criminal activities, Young Thug couldn't pass up the opportunity to see his 6 children. He told me, "I can't wait another 3 months if there's any chance I could go home, because I have children that are hurting. I have things to do," Steele told the judge. On October 31, 2024, Young Thug was released after spending more than 900 days in custody. As part of his plea deal, he still has to serve 15 years on probation. When the judge asked if he wanted to say anything, Thug took responsibility for his actions and apologized to his family before asking Judge Paige Reese Whitaker to let him go home. "I'm a smart guy. I'm a good guy. I really got a good heart," he told the judge. "A lot of the stuff I get into happens because I'm just nice or cool. But I understand you can't always be that way when you reach a certain level. It can end badly. I've learned from my mistakes." He also mentioned the free concerts he's hosted and the money he's given to single parents and related charities. Before giving the sentence, Judge Whitaker told him, "I want you to try to be more of the solution and less of the problem." The case had been controversial. especially because prosecutors used his rap lyrics as evidence, something many critics said was racist and a violation of free expression, targeting Blackheart. Thug told the judge he understood that rap lyrics can be twisted and affect people's minds, adding, "I promise you, I'm 100% changing that." As part of his probation, Thug has to stay away from the Atlanta area for the first 10 years, though he can return for weddings, funerals, and graduations, as long as he leaves within 48 hours. He's also required to come back 4 times a year to host anti-gang and anti-gun presentations, perform 100 hours of community service each year, and avoid any contact with gang members or associates. If he had been convicted on all charges, he could have faced up to 120 years in prison. The case itself was drawn out for months, with multiple motions for a mistrial and a jury selection process that alone took nearly a year. Three other co-defendants in the YSL racketeering trial accepted plea deals from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Rodalius Ryan, also known as Lil Rod, and Marquavius Huey, nicknamed Quay, both pleaded guilty on Wednesday to violating Georgia's RICO Act. Under the agreement, Ryan received a 10-year prison sentence, which was commuted to time already served. Other charges against him, including armed robbery, were dropped. Ryan is currently serving a life sentence in an unrelated murder case, and Judge Whitaker confirmed that his sentences will run concurrently. Huey admitted guilt to multiple charges, including armed robbery, and was sentenced to 25 years total, 9 years in custody, 9 on probation, and 5 suspended. Quamarvius Nichols, also called Quay, took a plea deal for count 1 of the indictment, conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. He was sentenced to 20 years, with 7 years in prison and the remainder on probation. Several other counts against him, including murder, were dismissed as part of the deal. None of the 3 will be required to testify against the remaining co-defendants, including the main target of the case, Young Thug. Now, on to what happened after his release. On June 22, 2025, Young Thug made his big comeback at Lyrical Lemonade Summer Smash Festival in Bridgeview, Illinois. It was his first public concert since getting out of jail in late 2024. He kicked off his set with Take It to Trial, a song that really hit home for fans who'd followed his legal struggles. Over the course of the night, he performed a mix of fan favorites and new tracks from his upcoming album, Ysl. During his performance of Ski, he even censored lyrics about his former collaborator Gunna, hinting at some tension between them. He was joined on stage by big names like Travis Scott, Ken Carson, and T.I., putting on a high-energy, emotional show that really showcased his talent and resilience. Fast forward to September 2025, and things got messy. Leaked jailhouse phone calls featuring Young Thug started circulating online, stirring up the hip-hop community. In the calls, he called out Gunna for taking a plea deal in the YSL RICO case, accusing him of helping prosecutors by labeling YSL as a gang. Thug also claimed that Gunna had taken half of a $5,000 performance fee from 5 younger artists, leaving them to split the rest, and he even dissed other artists like Lil Durk. The feud escalated when Thug's leaked track Closing Arguments dropped. The lyrics seemed to target Gunna and other YSL associates, with lines like Gunna a rat, Yak a rat, Slug a rat, Woody a rat, plus mentions of former affiliate YSL Obama. After the backlash, Young Thug went public with an apology on social media. He admitted he went too far, expressing regret for hurting fans, friends, and family. To everyone involved in this situation, I'm sorry this is happening and I hope you guys can forgive me. I'm moving forward with my life. Thank you God, he wrote. Honestly, reflecting on the whole Young Thug trial and everything surrounding it, it's wild to see how intertwined the music, the streets, and the law have been in this saga. From the early beefs with YF and Lucci to the rise of YSL as both a label and According to prosecutors, a gang, it's clear that Thug's life has always been high stakes. Watching the legal process unfold, with multiple co-defendants, witness testimonies, social media posts being used as evidence, and the drama with people like Lil Woody and other insiders, really highlights how complicated these cases are. On one hand, you see Thug's influence in hip-hop, breaking boundaries with his music, building YSL, mentoring artists. On the other hand, the allegations and the federal case remind you how the streets and legal system are never far behind, and how fame can make everything more visible, for better or worse. Personally, I think it's a mix of tragedy and fascination. Seeing someone navigate incredible success while being pulled into such serious legal battles is both shocking and a little heartbreaking. In the end, the trial shows just how high the stakes were, and it gives perspective on why decisions like Thug's plea, his eventual release, and how he's moving forward matter not just legally but culturally. That wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe, and may God bless you all.